As of Monday night, the hardware industry tipped its hat. Hours earlier at Computex, Intel launched its Xeon 6 Plus, codenamed Clearwater Forest, up to 288 cores built on its brand new 18A process. Now, you're never going to build and buy a 288 core server, and you do not need to. But when Intel bets its most advanced manufacturing on dense local inference, that is a signal worth reading. The era of renting every single token from a cloud API is quietly coming to an end, and today I'm going to show you the exact math that proves this. So let's define the thing that we're actually paying for. An always on AI agent is not a chatbot you poke a few times a day. It is a process that runs around the clock, looping, retrying, calling tools, reading files, and feeding its own output back into itself. That kind of agent chews through roughly 5 million tokens every single day. Over a month, that is about 150 million tokens just to keep one assistant alive and working. Hold that number in your head because everything that follows is built on it. Here's what that costs on a typical cloud API. Take a blended rate of $4 per million tokens, a reasonable midpoint across today's frontier models. Multiply that by 150 million tokens a month, and you land on $600 per month for one agent. Annualize it, and you're looking at $7,200 a year, every year, with nothing to show for it at the end except a stack of invoices. And notice the structure of this cost. It is pure rent. The moment you stop paying, it stops working. Let me make that number impossible to ignore. $7,200 a year breaks down to around $20 a day, every day, just to keep a single agent breathing. $20 before it has produced anything genuinely valuable. That is simply the cost of keeping the lights on. Now scale it the way real teams do. 5 agents running in parallel, $100 a day, $3,600 a year in pure API spend. The cloud model does not punish failure here, it punishes success. The more useful your agents become, the faster the meter spins. We have seen this movie before. Every major compute cycle begins the same way. The power is scarce, centralized, and rented out per hour. Mainframes gave way to the personal computer. On-premise servers gave way to the cloud, and each time the expensive centralized resource eventually commoditized and moved closer to the user. Cloud inference is simply the current peak of that curve. The cost of running a capable model on your own machine has been falling fast, while frontier API pricing has stayed stubbornly sticky. When the lines on that kind of chart start to converge, the smart money stops renting and starts owning. Now run that exact same agent on hardware you own. A capable local rig is a real upfront cost. Call it $2,500 once. And I'm not going to hide that running costs, but honesty is the whole point. That machine draws power, realistically, about $40 a month. So the truth all-in cost of going local is not just a stickier price. It is $2,500 upfront, plus roughly $480 of electricity over the first year, about $2,980 all in for 12 months on an always-on agent. And this is where the entire argument lives in a single chart. On day one, the cloud actually looks cheaper because your local rig costs $2,500 before you have run a single task. But watch what happens over 12 months. The cloud line climbs and never stops. 600, 1200, 1800, on and on, towards $7,200. The local line barely moves. It just takes up $40 a month for power. Somewhere around month 5, they cross. That crossover point is the whole story. Everything to the right of its money, you simply stop spending. After that crossover, something powerful happens to your cost structure. Your per token API fees do not just shrink, they go to zero. 100% of that metered per token rent is gone. But I want to be precise, because precision is what separates analysis from hype. That 100% refers only to the per token API fees. It does not mean free. You still own the hardware, and you still pay $40 a month for power. What you've actually done is trade an unpredictable bill that grows forever for a fixed known cost that you control. And that trade is the entire game. Put it on a scoreboard for year one. Cloud, $7,200, gone. Local, all in, $2,980. That is a difference of $4,220 saved in the first 12 months alone, roughly 59% lower total cost of ownership. Remember, this is the conservative case. It assumes a single agent. It assumes the cloud price never rises, which historically it does, in capability, if not always in dollars. The break even already happened back in month 5. Everything after that has been the local machine quietly printing savings. Then extend the timeline, because no serious agent runs for just 1 year. If the same assumptions simply hold, the gap does not close, it explodes. Over 3 years, that cloud agent costs about $21,600, let's say. The same local agent, hardware plus power, costs roughly $3,940. That is a difference of more than $17,000 for one agent over 3 years. And cost, that's only half the story. Owning the model also buys you things money usually can't. Data privacy, lower latency, no rate limits, and an agent that keeps working even when the cloud has an outage. Now, you might be thinking, sure, but can hardware I actually own really keep up? This is exactly why that Intel launch matters as a signal and not as a shopping list. Nobody's telling you to buy a 288 core data center chip. The point is the direction of travel. When the largest chip maker on Earth aims its most advanced process at dense local inference, it is telling you that running capable models on your own silicon is becoming the default, not the exception. And the strong open models of today already run comfortably on a single high-end consumer machine, the kind of ring that $2,500 budget actually buys. Here is how little it takes to start. You do not need a data center, and you do not need to be a systems engineer. With an open tool called Ollama, pulling a capable local model down onto the laptop you already own is essentially two commands in your terminal. One command downloads the model, the next runs it. That is the entire on ramp. It is simple. The version on screen is pinned to a specific release, so that this still works exactly the same way weeks from now, because nothing kills a tutorial faster than a moving target. One more thing, in the name of intellectual honesty. Everything I've just showed you is a cost model, built from a clear set of assumptions, not live telemetry from some server I'm secretly running. The assumptions are simple, and they are right here on the screen. One always on agent, 150 million tokens a month, a blended cloud rate of $4 per million, a $2,500 rig of $40 a month in power. Change those outputs and the crossover moves. Earlier if you run more agents, later if you run fewer. But the shape of the curve, the fact that rent compounds and ownership doesn't, this does not change. So, here is the bottom line. If your AI agent only wakes up a few times a day, the cloud is fine. Keep renting, it is cheaper. But if it runs all day, every day, the math is no longer even close. Around month 5 it crosses over, and from then, owning your hardware wins by a wider margin every single month. The hardware industry just told you where this is heading, and now you've seen numbers behind it. If your agent runs all day, it should be running on your hardware. In the next episode, I will build the exact local rig and benchmark it against the cloud head to head. This has been the validation set. Thank you for listening.